Documents we obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request showed that the electrical equipment at Richmond's water treatment plant had already been described as obsolete more than a decade ago. But the city had still not made replacements or upgrades before last month's water crisis. When water production halted in Richmond on January 6th, following a power outage at the water plant and backup power systems that failed,
the plant is 100 years old. We have aging infrastructure.
The age and condition of the facility became a talking point among officials.
The plant is older infrastructure.
But as CBS 6 found through a public records request, risks associated with unreliable power equipment have been well documented for many years.
There was multiple indications that these components needed to be replaced over the last 10 years.
This study by engineering consultants completed in 2012 showed that the main electrical service equipment at that time was about 34 years old and had already reached the end of its useful life as reliable and safe equipment. While that report described the equipment in fair condition with visible corrosion but no signs of serious deterioration, it stated that maintenance replacement of the equipment was highly recommended.
That was a bit enlightening, Tyler.
We showed the report to Joel Paulson, a licensed engineer not affiliated with the city.
A component such as this being identified as obsolete and in need of immediate repair should have been replaced in 2012 when it was flagged.
But it wasn't. Procurement records show that between 2016 up until 2021, Richmond put out numerous solicitations for contractors to complete a replacement project, and it cited the 2012 study and the deteriorating condition of the aged equipment and decreasing reliability. The work included automating a backup generator, but we know the generator was still manual at the time of the crisis and was never turned on by DPU staff in the midst of the response.
Industry standard in today's world is to have everything automatic.
The project also included modifying the switchgear, and that's the asset that should have transferred electricity from the facility's primary power to a backup source when the power outage occurred. However, Mayor Danny Avula admitted that that component did not work like it should have.
I think the failure of our switch is on our side, and so I think that switch may be part of the infrastructure that we'll obviously need to replace.
And needed to be replaced long ago, according to Paulson. We also obtained a more recent condition assessment from 2020, which found 93 electrical assets at the water plant with a high probability of failure. Now, the city redacted exactly what pieces of equipment they are, but we do know the switchgear building and the substation, which contains the electrical equipment, were found to be in poor condition. So would you say that that condition assessment should have really set off some alarm bells for DPU?
Absolutely.
According to the report, the electrical components were rated to be in the poorest condition out of all the asset categories, with over $1.5 million in deferred maintenance. We asked the city what steps it took in response to these two critical reports. The mayor's spokesperson, Julian Walker, says a contract was secured in late 2022 for electrical upgrades, but it's unclear when the physical work actually began. Due to the technical requirements of the project, Walker says the vendor had to spend time determining specifications, obtaining parts, and fabrication work. For example, a custom build process was necessary for a new transformer, and that's currently underway and will be complete in May. But Paulson believes that the city should have acted when it was first warned about this, nearly 13 years ago.
Bottom line, this whole crisis could have been averted. This was not an act of God. This was a mismanagement of the system, and deferred maintenance is what led to this problem.
Walker tells me the city also received some bids back in 2016 for those electrical upgrades, but he says they were not within the budget. As for the backup power sources that failed during last month's crisis, Walker says they have now been replaced. I'm Tyler Lane for CBS 6 News.